have a guest with me. I'm sorry, brother. What's your name?
Is Mike
Mike.
Sealie. Yeah, Mike Sealie.
Yeah. How
So
you doing?
Mike, good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My Instagram is MJS, and which is my initials, and that's my other one where I post other art too. So the other one is my character creation. So that's where I met you at.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how you been?
I've been good. I've been staying busy. Currently, I'm working on the second issue of my comic, which is Eclipse Comics, and I'm also working on a Star Wars project that's due at the end of the month for Tops. And I've done multiple projects for Tops and Upper Deck. I did some Marvel stuff. Just I've done some X-Files projects and stuff like that. So I've done quite a bit of art stuff. Just working to get more and do more and stuff like that and be better with my craft. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, like you said earlier. We seen each other. I stumbled across you on Instagram, and I seen your artwork on your IG page, and
yeah,
for some reason I got attracted with your Eclipse character.
yeah. That's here's I just show off the. This is one of the first like alternate covers I did for one of the first releases I did for Eclipse.
Yeah.
It's a character I've had in my head since I was 14, and I'm
Yeah.
48 now. I'm 48 now, and I dropped the first issue or the first appearance of Eclipse in 2021.
Oh.
So yeah, literally, it was been in my head for a long time, and finally come to fruition when I got back into art, and I went real hard when I got back in art.
So what's that like for you to come up with a comic book?
So like when you're a kid, you know how you can talk to anybody when they're little. They come up with these characters and stories and stuff like that. So I was really into comics growing up, like most of us, reading X-Men, reading a little
Yeah.
bit of everything. And so when I got 12, 13, 14, I started creating my own world. And so I created all these characters. I even have an old suitcase of old drawings of characters that I've had. And believe it or not, Eclipse was probably when I was 14 or 15. And that particular character hasn't changed a lot. I've tweaked a few things like his hair color, but his design overall is literally throwback from the 90s, or
Wow.
when I was first creating the character and stuff like that. And he's a Hawaiian hero, just to give you an idea. Because so being a Hawaiian hero, he's actually Polynesian. So when you think about heroes, there's not a lot that come out of the islands. Or
Okay.
and I thought about it when I was talking to the writer that I was working with on the project. It was like all your superheroes from New York, LA, Chicago, Gotham, Metropolis, all these big cities. So what happens if in little old Hawaii that literally sits all by itself? So his whole thing is he wants to protect his people. So and so he has these powers, and it's people have these grandiose thoughts when they want to become a superhero, and they want to protect this big giant city where he's just trying to protect his islands, and because the islands literally sit by itself. And mind you, it's not always something going on. So sometimes it's just taking care of, taking a cat out of a tree. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's a big storyline that comes with it and stuff like that. So I'm actually finished with issue 2, and it's already to the writer and the letterer, and then we'll go through an editing process and hope to have the second issue kickstarted doing Kickstarter towards the closer to winter.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you're the illustrator, basically.
Yes, 100% illustrated. And the
Illustrator.
stories come from my head. I work with a writer who is an excellent writer. Shout out to Rob Anderson. He's just a brilliant writer. He wrote everything from kids books to adult books kind of thing. So he's very diverse in his stuff. And you can even, if you see, you just pulled up Eclipse, and that's how my guy looks. And issue 1, you can get it on that website wearecomics.com. You can get a digital copy, or you can order a physical copy, and so it's available at that website
All
for
right.
sure.
You said he's from the Hawaii. It's Hawaiian.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, he's a
What
Hawaiian Polynesian.
what made you come up with a character a Hawaiian Polynesian?
Because even when I was younger, when I was creating characters, I was creating like diversity. People think right off the bat, oh, I'm gonna create a diverse character. And a lot of times, because I'm black, they're gonna think I'm just gonna create a black character. But
Okay.
that's not the case. When I think of diversity and inclusion, yes, I have black characters I've created, and I'm gonna drop them in the storyline as well. Um, but I also have Asian characters, and not just Asian characters like karate chopping Asian characters. I go to California all the time. It's a huge Asian population, and they don't have accents. They go to work and do everything the same way we do, so they're not like the traditional stereotypical way. So I want to shine light on that. The same thing with the Hawaiian. Everybody just thinks they hula and it's just Moana and stuff like that, but they live regular lives now because the story is not based off of the past or anything like that. And yeah, there's some things that are coming into play with the lore of Hawaii, but it's about the core of the people, because we all can relate, because we're just humans. We all have the same troubles. We love, we hurt, we have pain. So I want to bring that to the context, because you can see that what you pulled up right now shows some of the other characters I created. The bottom left character, I think it's left that comes up on the screen, is a Jamaican character. So actually, when he speaks, he'll speak patois. So if you don't understand patois, then it'll actually have an asterisk to explain what he's saying. But somebody's from Jamaica, they're gonna read it and say, "Oh, this Irie man, this is good." They want to know. They want to have that's the reality of it. Because yes, we create characters of black characters, white characters, Chinese characters, all these characters, but the true authenticity is representing everybody and seeing the hero in everybody.
It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious, where they got these diverse characters.
Oh yeah, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, black guys, light skinned dudes like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to Black Lightning, Storm, dark skinned brothers, and I'm dope with that. But you don't see red bones. You know what I mean? So I introduced that. I got characters I created. There's red bones. It's a chick I got. She's from the southern area. She's from the south, and she's a red bone, light skinned black girl. That's thick. So.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. I can't lie. That's pretty dope. Wow.
Yeah.
So you created this character when you was 14 years old.
Yeah.
What inspired you?
You know what? Like I said, when you're a kid, everything creates stories. Everything creates a character. And you just write it down and draw it. So I would just write it down, table that character, write it down, table that character. And you just are creating worlds and stories and stuff like that. I got a Mexican character that I ended up making back when I was like 18. And that was my main character that I was trying to push. You know what I mean? But at that time, I didn't push it hard. I released a little small Ashcan comic. That was my first comic. And believe it or not, the guy who came up with Static Shock, I actually took a class that they had that he came and spoke in front of a lot of the kids and stuff like that. And we created a little Ashcan, and all these little young creators created these characters, and they had their own little stories. And he actually spoke in front of all of us, and a lot of people were like, "Wow, you got to meet him." And when we were younger, we just thought Static Shock. This is when I'm talking about before Static Shock. He hadn't even created Static Shock or dropped Milestone Comics yet. He was still doing stuff with DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what's your background like in terms of comics? Like did you ever work like in one of them entities, DC or Marvel?
Not in the any of the. I haven't been in any main books. But I have in recent years, since 2016, been doing stuff with Upper Deck and Tops, and I signed
Okay.
contracts that are Marvel projects. So I've done
Yeah,
my
because
most,
you showed me these. Not
yeah.
to cut you off, you showed me this. I was assuming that probably he probably did work with Marvel or DC or something like that.
Yeah, not like some of them I did. Like this is I'll show you a card I did.
Okay.
This is the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know
Oh,
if you can
okay.
see that. So I did this project and I did this card and like a bunch of other cards, and they allow you to keep some so you can resell them. But I did over
Okay.
50 cards for them, and so that's a Marvel project that I
Oh,
did.
so
Falcon and
this
Winter
is
Soldier.
Upper Deck. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
you
for
drew
Upper
for
Deck.
Upper Deck. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and then I did this
Yeah, that's
project.
cool.
Spider-Man, Far From Home. So I
Right.
still do. I do stuff that's properties of it. I did the man. I worked on Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian
Okay.
season 2, card set and stuff like that. So I'm actually doing stuff for LucasArts and Star Wars, but it's through Tops and Upper Deck and stuff like that. And they just signed a
Okay.
big deal. Tops just signed a big deal. I'm gonna be. They asked me what I wanted to do, and I'm gonna be doing some Pixar and some more animated stuff too. So I'm excited
That's
about that.
pretty
That's new.
cool.
Yeah.
That's that's pretty cool. Yeah. Like how long you been doing it?
I the I've been drawing all my life. But I
No,
got
with the Upper Deck and stuff. I mean.
since 2016. When
Oh,
I
okay.
started going
Okay.
through marriage issues, and so I got back into my art hardcore and started going to comic shops, comic cons, showing my art, and I started getting work from independents. And then I went to San Diego Comic Con, showed my portfolio, and picked up some projects. And every time I go, I pick up some projects. I went this year, and there's some stuff that I signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, I can't really speak on until they come to fruition, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's
trying to do
pretty
big
cool.
things.
Like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, in terms of with the Eclipse character, like so like is there a volume or volume
It's
one
for
or volume two with the graphic
um,
novel?
I got issues. No, I'm doing starting with issues, and they're like 20, 27 page, 32-page books, and then I'll put together a graphic novel. But right now I'm on issue 2. Issue 1 is completely done.
Okay.
Like you pulled up the picture that has We Are Comics
Okay.
with
Okay.
comix.com. Not that one.
Okay. All
But
right.
that one. That
Yeah.
go to that website,
Okay. I got you.
and you
All
get
right.
issue
Let me
1.
show it
And
again.
I've also published. I've also published with my business partner, Wolf and Fox. That's another thing, and that's also on We Are Comics. So I've published 5 books, and some of them are me bringing in other artists that have stories and creation, and we give them eight to 9 pages, well, literally 6 to 8 pages, reality, to tell their story. So in a book, it'll have an anthology of their snippet of their stories, and we've done 4 books like that. So I've
So
published through my company, which is Continuum Comics, right here. I'll look at the
yeah.
logo right here. I came up with the logo, and we publish. I also do cards that tell you a breakdown of the characters, and so we have character cards for even the villains and the heroes and stuff like that. So I've thought it out, published it, and so we tell the story through our cards and our books and stuff like that. So, and literally, we're working on new stuff for the new year and stuff. So
So like so does he what can you walk me like to the process of it? Like when you decided to come up with your comic book with
okay.
Eclipse, how did it all started to just
So
be
the
like
process is, so I've had this character in my head for a long time. The story wasn't fully developed, but you have ideas of what you want to do. So I sat down with the writer, and I have ideas. The writer helps formulate those ideas, and he puts words in these people's mouths. I know who hit Eclipse is in the heart at his heart. I know his girlfriend, her type of character. I know the villain. Why what drives the villain? So you literally lay out. You need to know the character. Like, I don't know if you're married, but you know your wife or your girlfriend. When you've been with them a while, you know their character. You know your kids, their character, their personality. So the same thing with these characters you create. It's not just knowing their powers, but what's their driving force. If they came up against something, how would they answer that question? How would they do it? What would they go about? So you got to understand the character. So in the process, you kind of literally lay out the storyline and the characters and see how you want to go with the story. And then as the writer bounces off different stories of what ideas and what we like, what we don't like, and then we get it down on paper. And he literally lays it out like there's a Marvel style and a DC style when you're doing comic books. The Marvel style is more each panel. I'll give you an example. Like in here, it'll tell you each panel stage. It'll say, hey, city view, a van driving by, and then that's the cues I can draw off of that. Some writers are more specific. They look worried that somebody's in the background. So, and then you that way you pick up. Then I start storyboarding and doing rough sketches as each line tells me ideas of how to go about the story. The DC style is more, they'll tell, this is what happens on this page. That's gonna fight, he's gonna punch him, he drops down, he hurts his hand, and you have to make that, okay, I'm gonna make this many, and you tell the story that way. So it's two different styles that are typically used in comic books that actually how you tell the story and stuff like that.
So what's his powers? It's like what, like solar energy?
Actually, his powers are actually more lunar and gravity based. So give you a perfect example with the moon phase. Moon phases can cause the tides to come up and the tides to go down, right? And so one of them can cause everything to become very dense and heavy and compress on itself. The other thing, it can cause things to be light or lifted and stuff like that. So it's very moon based, and but eclipses, like a lunar eclipse, happens more often, but it causes him to become actually weaker. But a solar eclipse, which is more rare, makes him overpowered, like he's Superman. You know what I mean? Like you can't touch him. But it's in that period that the solar eclipse is coming. We always know this is coming, so he gradually gets stronger. But a lunar eclipse, they happen more frequently, but it affects him in different ways. But his powers are usually reduced when there's a lunar eclipse and stuff like that. But like he can fly based off his powers. He can literally cause a rock to crush within itself, or like a car implodes by the power that he has and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. Like what's his adversaries are like?
His adversary is Solar Flare, and I think you can pull up that guy. Solar Flare is, if you can pull him up, that's Solar Flare. That's the villain.
I don't think I have his
Okay. Yeah, he's on my webpage, but I mean on my Instagram. Yeah, that's his adversary. So that's Solar Flare. So Solar Flare draws his power strictly from the sun. And so you know how if you think of a solar flare, it can mess up radio waves, TV waves and stuff like that, and disrupt stuff like EMPs. That's all caused by like the sun. So he can control that kind of thing. By doing that, like it's almost impossible to record him if he's nearby, if he's got his power, if he's controlling his powers. So it's almost rare to find that villain recorded with a phone or from CCTV camera, so they don't, people can talk about him like, oh, he was here, he was that, but nobody has really good footage of him unless they use the analog camera or something like that captures. So because his he has a vendetta out for Eclipse, and I can't reveal what. You just have to read it because it is revealed in issue 2, but issue 1 establishes him and another group of heroes and Eclipse. But the first issue actually talks about Eclipse from a third person point of view. So you don't get to know the personality of Eclipse in that first. It's everybody else describing what they think of this hero, who this hero is. So you don't get to know who that person Eclipse is until issue 2. That's much more intimate, gets inside his head. What's his motivation? Who he loves? Those kind of things come into play in the second issue.
Okay. Does Eclipse have like? Do you mind telling Eclipse origin, like how he got his powers?
So,
you can make it
don't.
brief.
I can't. If
I will skip it. We'll skip the question.
All right. So with his powers, people not sure. They're not sure where the powers come from. But you as a reader will find out more or get hints of it in issue 2.
All right.
Yeah, that was a tough one because I was like, that tells too much of. That's part of the story in the journey.
Yeah, I understand. You don't want to give up to it. Yeah, you want to have the reader in suspense. I get it. I get it. Like, why don't you talk about yourself, like a little bit, like did you go to like
school
college?
and
Like, yeah, right.
I did some graphic design in high school. I don't know if you are familiar with Misty Knight in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
With Luke Cage, she shows up in Luke Cage, but she's in Marvel. So the co-creator of that character is Arvell Jones. Arvell Jones is a Marvel artist, a black Marvel artist from Detroit, and he had a art workshop when I was a teenager. Okay. And me and my cousin paid to take the class. So I'm from a neighborhood where my mom, you got to go get a real job. You're not gonna make no money as an artist, so you got to go do something else. So I paid out of my own money. Me and my cousin paid out our own money to go through this school, this class that Arvell had. It was a workshop for artists, and it's some pretty decent sized artists, big artists that came out of that. But Arvell worked for DC and Marvel for years, and actually is accredited for Misty Knight, who's been on the Luke Cage show on Netflix. Iron Fist. So she showed up in multiple of those things, and he mentored us, taught us about comic books, and taught us about like drawing just basic items like vases or a paper clip, or a phone, stuff you don't want to draw, but it actually shows up in comic books all the time. But so you got to know how to draw it. It's not just drawing superheroes. When you're drawing a room, it's not the main character. You still got to draw this and that. You have to draw the couch and know how to draw a couch. You can draw muscles all good all day, but you got to tell a story, set the environment.
I kind of understand that. Like, you got to be like a storyteller. You gotta a visual storyteller.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, how do you stay disciplined in like drawing? Because that's not easy all the time.
It's not easy all the time. So what drove me to get here is me going through a divorce, and it was my therapy, where I got to a point where I went to the therapist, and they was like, do you write or draw? And I said, I draw. They said, maybe you want to focus a little more attention on that. So it got to the point, so me to deal with me going through what I was going through, I had to draw. I just drew and drew and drew. And so until I felt healthy, now I draw out of joy. Before I was drawing out of pain. But I didn't draw dark. I still drew comic books and superheroes because it gave me peace. So I'm always advocate to the kids. It's not always about making money. It's what makes you kind of brings you joy. I just happen to learn how to make it turn it into money. So I'm happy that I was able to turn it into money and it makes me money and stuff like that. And I'm happy about that. But don't make that your driving force. Don't make it, oh, I want to make a cartoon or I want to make a movie. Start by drawing first, the basics. Don't think these grander thoughts. You can have it far off and say, I would love that to happen, but you have to do A, B, and C before you can go to Z. So, and I feel like I'm still at C and D kind of thing. So I still got a ways to go in developing stories and characters, and maybe even I'm working to do some bigger stuff for Marvel and DC. I'm in the process of pushing further into that, because if I get into doing some story pages and stuff and stories for Marvel or DC, then it also facilitate my characters getting seen more.
Cool. Like, what about like I take it you go to Comic-Con and all that stuff, right? Comic convention stuff.
I've been in New York City, San Diego, I live in Florida, so I've been to MegaCon, SuperCon, Miami, Orlando, Philly, Chicago, CCE2. Where are you at?
I'm in New York City. I went to Comic-Con but this was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Like over 10 years.
It's this week. Or is it it's either this week? I think it starts this week. New York City Comic-Con is actually this week. Yeah.
But it'd be so expensive
this year. But
I don't even have no money. I don't have no money to because I looked at the prices and it was,
and they're expensive.
It was a lot. A lot of money.
But when I first went, it cost me. But now that I can put in for tickets as a professional and I've done professional work, they give you a ticket. You still have to pay when you get there to not get in, but like hotel and stuff like that. But I have family in New York City too, in Brooklyn, Crown Heights. I got family in Crown Heights, so.
Okay. I'm in Flatbush.
Okay. All right, East Flatbush or no?
East Flatbush.
Okay, I thought so. All right. That's what's up.
I went there. The last time I went there, this was like 2012, and I met an old classmate of mine, and I didn't realize that I had some of his comics. Yeah, wow. And he did Cassandra Cain, and he did he when she was Batgirl in the 2000s. And I was like, oh wow, you doing this? And I remember I seen his name. I was like, is this the person that I knew in class? His name was Damian Scott.
Okay.
And so I'm like, is this the same person that I knew? And then all of a sudden, first I seen him, like he met me like in a train station, and I didn't. At first, I'm like, Davian, that's you. And so he said he'll see me around. And so like I think like months passed or something. I went. A friend of mine at the time, like he invited me to go to the Comic-Con convention, and all of a sudden I see this guy. So somebody was interviewing him and all that stuff. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That must be cool, because I've actually met a lot of people that I was young when I was younger. That was my. I wish I could see him. I met Jim Lee. Now I've met Jim Lee. I've met so many famous people. I met Stanley before he passed.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I got his autograph. Ooh. I literally got goosebumps, got a chance to meet him and shook his hand. I said, you the GOAT. You the reason why I do what I do. And he says, I know. That's all he said. It was perfect. It was perfect, man. I was done. I was so done, man. And I'm glad just run into a lot of guys. John Romita Jr. I didn't meet his father because his father passed away in the last year, but I didn't get a chance to meet his father. But I did get to meet John Romita Jr. These are like legends growing up as kids, and we looking at comic books at 8 years old, and I'm sitting there talking to these guys at the Comic-Con. Trust and believe, I do art, and they think I'm talented. But like, to me, a Spider-Man artist that you read when you was 8 and you went through their comic book over and over again. I mean, the paper's falling off because of their drawings, and you're meeting them and talking to them. And they're gray and old now, but they're still doing it. And then they encourage you because it's like, man, you're good. Why aren't you doing this? So when you hear that, you just like, because sometimes you get like, man, am I really any good? Why am I doing this? And then you have somebody that's in the business tell you, man, you should be out here. Then you're like, I should be at the table? You saying I should be at the table? That does something different. You know, it don't give you a big head, but it makes you go further and push further and say, I can do this. And there's not a lot of black people in the business. I know them all. You know a lot of it. I've run across a lot of the black people that's in the business. It's just not a lot of us, you know. It's cool to show representation in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with like some black creators. You know, some of them don't even draw; they write, and you know, they got connected. Yeah, they connect with a artist from maybe Africa or some other parts of the world. Yeah, like especially like Kickstarter. It's like, especially on Instagram, you'll see it, like a lot of black creators and artists and writers and stuff like that.
Yeah, Kickstarter's been a great avenue for creators to actually show off their stuff and get their stuff printed, you know, because it allows people that get behind it. It brings focus on what you're creating. You're able to tell your story easier.
Did you also have like people that critique you in a harsh way?
Oh yeah, that has to happen. Right. I'm telling you right now, that has to happen. And I don't say having thick skin is taking the good with the bad, knowing that you know you need to grow, and it don't always feel good. Nobody likes to get broke down, but I used to draw like Rob Liefeld, and everybody, when I was younger, I was like, man, I really love this guy. I drew almost just like him. I went to an editor, show my art, and at this time I was like 16, 17, showing my art, and he tore it apart. You're just copycat. He's not even that great of an artist. So you're copycat. You don't know. You? Oh yeah, he told me. He was like, he's not even that great of an artist, and you're copying him. He's got a niche, but he's not what somebody gonna hire you. So I took that to heart. I said, I have to develop my own style. I gotta learn the basics. So that's when I went to understand the body, understand the muscles. You know, you don't just keep at it. And you can't throw everything on, oh, it's just my style. If you don't know the fundamentals, it's like basketball. To be a good basketball player, you don't be like, I'm just throwing up the ball. You have to still learn the fundamentals, how to dribble, how to do a crossover. You practice in layups. They teach you the same stuff they teach all the guys. It's not until they get mastered that, Kobe, MJ, LeBron, they do the same thing over and over again, and it's something else that clicks that makes them great. Yeah. But you gotta know the basics.
Right. I remember I took a class, and because I was doing like alternative comics and stuff, and you know, I remember I wrote some story about this dude. He returned home from prison, and you know, and then he seen like a murder. He witnessed a murder and stuff, and and then just even doing that, it wasn't very easy. I had to come up with like a story and just drawing. I remember this guy, like the instructor I had. He told me about this type of drawing style where you see people and but a gesture drawing. That's what they call it. Yeah. I'm just kind of do that, a little bit. But you kind of have those moments where you stop.
Yes, and I did too. I stopped, and I would only do it when I got an itch because I was raising my kids and raising my having being married and doing married life and just trying to feed my family. So you don't draw like that. It wasn't until I was going through the divorce and you got more time to yourself, I got to focus on my art, and lo and behold, I started making money, and I still make money, and it's not. I'm not trying to pay bills with it, depending on your financial situation. But it does help me pay for, like, I got an iPad Pro, so I do a lot of my stuff digital now. It pays for paper and pencils. It pays for if I go out of town, I go to San Diego Comic Con. My art paid for that. It's not paying. It may not pay my electric bill or my water bill, but it paid for me to travel to that space.
Yeah, yeah, man. This is pretty cool. Like, so, like, how do you see yourself, like, maybe 5 or 10 years with your comic books and stuff?
So my goal is put one foot in front of the other, and I've gotten a measure of success that way. Got a little feedback. Um, but so my goal is I want to do some panel, what they call illustration panel pages for DC or Marvel. If I can do a whole book, that would be great. But they get artists that do filler pages. Like, we need you to do 8 pages. And if I can do like an 8 page, because I have a regular job. But if I can do these other things, that would be great. Yeah. So it's like I just see stuff, and it's like different avenues open up, and I try to take it. Turn it up. I can't. When I was married, I didn't think I would get back into that, but I found my love of it, and I won't leave it again. I'm single right now, but even if I get married, she got to know that that's the other love in the room. I won't leave it again. Yeah.
You ever see yourself doing animation with your character?
I would actually have a team or people working on it, because animation takes a team. Anybody that's trying to do it themselves, it's gonna be a struggle.
Right. Yeah.
It's so much.
It's different fields of animation too. Also, it's different fields of it. So that's a lot. So
yeah, animation. I got some sample pages of some animation I'm doing a little bit of, but it's just a lot.
Yeah. Like like growing up, like what was your favorite comic book that you used to like reading?
I would say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and at the time, if you remember when you go to Sunday newspaper,
right?
The actual Stan Lee wrote the little stories for the strip.
Oh yeah.
He actually did write those, and he did it until he passed. And the artist is Alex Sadia. He's older. I think he's in his 70s now. I'm really cool with him. He gave me his first comic he's ever done, just because we're cool. And it was before he worked for Marvel DC in the 70s. I got it in a frame. And I used to read his comic book when he did Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. And so, like I said, it was like meeting a hero. You know.
I mean, you're like around my age, but I recently see like these old 1966 superhero Marvel superhero hours with Namor, Captain America, the Hulk. They had it's an it was an animated movie, animated cartoon.
And what's is it on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah, some of it. Like people had kind of restored, had brought them back. I don't know how they did it, but like they some of it's probably like 2 hours long of episodes and stuff like that. They even
Oh
have
wow.
like the Fantastic Four cartoon. Yeah, Hanna Barbera. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. I have to look into it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They'll like like I mean, some of the cartoons, it was a bit stiff, it was so the animation, but
Yeah,
I like how they do it. It's like a comic animation a bit, if I could say that. Yeah,
yeah,
the way
that's
they did
cool.
it. Yeah. Then they have like this narrator. He talks to it. Yeah, I remember when I was like a baby. I remember that like with the Captain America, and they showed it on Channel 11, and and I seen it. I was like, it just some of it was in my head, and then you know you seeing it now as a grown up. And I was like, oh, I remember this. You know,
Hmm.
they even have it like on Instagram and stuff. Maybe I could send it to you.
Yeah, definitely
Show
send
you.
it to me because I would love to
Yeah.
see that. Instagram or YouTube, whatever. Let me know. I would love to see that.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have like what do you got other projects like if you mind discussing that
Only
you
ones I can really talk about is right now I'm working on a Star Wars project. Um, and it's the Masterworks project,
okay.
and I'm drawing some stuff for that. I'm doing and that's due in August. Um, and I've done it's a Marvel stuff coming and Pixar because I can draw that cartoon stuff too. But I have to wait until they send me a contract. So, but they told me it's coming.
Okay, that's cool. But like in terms of like comic books, like stories or anything like that.
Right now, it's just issue 2 of Eclipse.
Okay.
I also have a group called the Core, and they're called the Core because they actually protect the United States, and it started from them protecting part. They were after they fired the Secret Service, they hired these other characters that have powers. They're almost like X-Men, and they've hired them to protect the president at the time. And after that ends, they protect and become a bigger outfit called the Corps, and they're protecting certain things that happen in the United States, which has the Jamaican character I mentioned to you. It has a Puerto Rican guy, the Southern girl that's a red bone, light skinned chick. Um, so I have a diverse group from a Samoan, so another guy who used to be in the military, black guy, um, an Irish girl, and an Irish girl, and they're twins and stuff like that. So I have different avenues of characters just that starts popping with Eclipse.
All right. I'll stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you again for giving me your time
yeah,
and sharing your story.
yeah. I appreciate you reaching out.
No doubt. And if you want, we could talk again. It's not a problem.
All right, sure. Let me know.
All right.
Even if we just chopping it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
And then maybe when I get closer to the release of the second issue, we'll do another interview and I can show some pages and some character stuff that's happening with it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right.